daw.
Sige, mag-start ha. We are now live through our DPWH District Engineering Office, Davao del Sur YouTube channel. To all back members, TWG members, back secretariat, interested leaders, observers, and viewers, good morning.
Good morning.
Our procurement proceedings for today is a pre-bid conference for civil works. The pre-bid conference will now come to order. The prayer led by Engineer Lasconia.
Heavenly Father, guide us and conduct in this pre-bid and pre-procurement conference. Grant us wisdom, fairness, and integrity in all our decisions and discussions. May this process serve the public with transparency and accountability. Lord God, bless everyone present today and guide us toward the common good. All this we pray through your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen.
Salamat, Pan. Once again, our activity for today is a private conference for civil works. The 26 LD 0142 rebid construction completion of multipurpose building, Daycare Center, Barangay Rizal, Malalag, Davao del Sur. EBC 2,475,000 pesos. Contract duration 60 calendar days. Next is 26 LD 0143 rebid construction completion of multipurpose building, Daycare Center, Barangay Dulangan, Digos City, Davao del Sur. EBC 2,475,000 pesos. Contract duration 60 calendar days. Next is 26 LD 0152 rebid construction of multipurpose building, Gymnasium, Barangay Bunot, Kiblawan, Davao del Sur. EBC 7,920,000 pesos. Contract duration 105 calendar days. Next is 26 LD 0164 rebid construction of multipurpose building, Barangay Hall, Barangay Santo Nino, Kiblawan, Davao del Sur. EBC 4,950,000 pesos. Contract duration 90 calendar days. Next is 26 LD 0205 construction of public water supply system, Barangay Dalomay, Magsaysay, Davao del Sur. EBC 4,950,000 pesos. Contract duration 150 calendar days. And next, 26 LD 0206 construction of public water supply system, Barangay Balasiao, Kiblawan, Davao del Sur. EBC 4,950,000 pesos. Contract duration 150 calendar days. May I request the head of the Secretariat, Engineer Rebecca Sela, to conduct a roll call and acknowledge the interested bidders and observers.
Good morning. I would like to acknowledge the presence of the back members, back TWG members, back secretariat, observers, viewers, bidders, for the pre-bid conference of civil works. Engineer Daisy Caniban, Miss Aisel Carla Uyaw, Engineer Rialin Santos, Engineer Achilles Ray Mibulos, Engineer Mariano Lucero Jr., Engineer Teresa Relacion, Engineer Winnie Montañez, Mr. Novi Carlo Nasibo, Engineer Edward Abdallah, Engineer Raymond De La Cruz, Engineer Roji Paha, Engineer Waldomer Ausa, Engineer Junaidi Mundi, Engineer Arvelin Donio, Engineer Roy Constancio, Mr. Elton John Albert Terencio, Engineer Ivan Nico Tormes, Engineer Anelisa Bonsit, Engineer Vanessa Lasconia, Engineer Annie Lorin Diamante, Engineer Quincy Marie Aliguay, and Engineer Lois Claire Villa. Madam Chair, we issue notice to observers dated May 21, 2026 to Honorable John Tracy Cagas, Congressman Davao del Sur, to CUA Audit Team Mr. Eric A. Himelga, State Auditor, to Wilfredo Dicina, President, Philippine Constructors Association Incorporated, to the Director, National Constructors Association of the Philippines Incorporated, to Mr. Carlo Imbatalla, President and Chairman Crime and Corruption Watch CCW International Incorporated. To Honorable Maria Sorayhaida T. Valentin, Municipal Mayor Malalag, Davao del Sur. To Honorable Joseph Portich Cagas, City Mayor, Digos City, Davao del Sur. To Honorable Carl Jason Rama, Municipal Mayor, Kiblawan, Davao del Sur. To Honorable Arthur Davin, Municipal Mayor, Magsaysay, Davao del Sur. To Honorable Rosita A. Angher, Punong Barangay, Rizal, Malalag, Davao del Sur. To Honorable Pedro C. Rua Jr., Punong Barangay, Dulangan, Digos City, Davao del Sur. To Honorable Leon G. Panerio, Punong Barangay, Bunot, Kiblawan, Davao del Sur. To Honorable Alberto M. Guzman, Punong Barangay, Santo Niño, Kiblawan, Davao del Sur. To Honorable Jesse S. Pandian, Punong Barangay, Balasiao, Kiblawan, Davao del Sur. Ms. Rachel M. Caspis, School Principal 4, Governor Nonito Diliano Senior National High School, Balasiao, Kiblawan, Davao del Sur, and to Honorable Edgardo C. Mirapuentes, Punong Barangay, Dalomay, Magsaysay, Davao del Sur. That's all, Madam Chair.
Since majority of BAC members are present here, I declare the prepaid conference for civil works is in quorum. Let's proceed to our agenda number 1, the basic presentation, explanation of the including contract description, ABC and duration, to be given by our Architect Arnel Tan for building and for water supply by Mr. Franz John Gis.
Good morning, everyone. So for today's PIVID conference, we have a total of 6 civil projects. 4 of these are the rebid projects for underbuilding. So first, for contract ID number 26LD 0 26LD 140. So again, for contract ID number 26LD0142, the contract name construction completion of multipurpose building Daycare Center, Barangay Rizal, Malalag, Davao del Sur, with an appropriation amount of 2,500,000 pesos, ABC amount of 2,475,000 pesos, with a contract duration of 60 calendar days, funded under General Appropriation Act 2026 or RA 12314. So our project, here's our vicinity map for the project, which will be located at Barangay Rizal, Malalag, and the geotag photo. So this project, the LGU or the school provided an original certificate of title for the lot ownership. Next. So again, our project will be located at Barangay Rizal. Here's a vicinity map which will be placed near a proposed social hall. Next, here's the typical perspective of our one-story daycare center building. Next, so our building has a total floor area of 60 square meters with a dimension of 8 meters by 7 meters. So the spaces provided are the following: a ramp, a corridor, the daycare room, and an attached toilet. So our building would mainly compose of reinforced concrete columns and beams, and then steel trusses for the roof framing. For the sum of quantities, here's the tabulation. First, for the under general requirements, we have the permits and the clearances. Then for earthwork, we have the excavation, then embankment. Then under reinforced concrete, we have 3,000 PSI and the 4,000 PSI structural concrete, and a grade 14 and a grade 60 reinforcing steel bars. Under finishing under civil works, We have the termite control works for wood preservative, masonry works for the walling or the CHP walls, fabricated materials such as the doors and the windows, finishing works such as the tile works, ceiling works, and then painting works, roof rating and roofing works, and other plumbing or sanitary works with the sewer line and the cold water lines, septic vault, then plumbing fixtures, and then we have electrical works, mechanical works, which includes the fire extinguisher. That's it for the 26LD0142. For contract ID 26LD0143, with a contract name, construction completion of multipurpose building, Daycare Center, Barangay Dulangan, Digos City, Davao del Sur, with appropriation amount of 2,500,000 pesos, an ABC amount of 2,475,000 pesos, with a contract duration of 60 calendar days under 2026 GA or RA 12314. Next. So our project will be located at Dulangan Elementary School. Here's a vicinity map and our geographic photo. So for the proof of ownership, the LGU provided a deed of donation. Next. So here's the site development plan, which will be located right beside an existing school building near the principal's office. So here's again the geographic photo. Again, the typical perspective of our one-story daycare center building. Again, same with the previous project, we have a total floor area of 60 square meters with the dimensions of 8 meters by 7 meters. Spaces provided, a corridor, daycare room, and a touch toilet. So, just like the previous project, somehow it has this same scope. You may pause this video for the uploaded version if you want to review the summary of quantities. But again, I'll repeat the tabulation of first the general requirements, the permits and clearances. Earthwork, which includes individual removal of trees and embankment. Reinforced concrete, 3,000 and 4,000 PSI structural concrete and grade 14 BCC reinforcing steel bars. And then under finishing and civil works, we have the termite control works, masonry works, fabricated materials, finishing works, painting works, roof framing, plumbing, electrical and mechanical works. So for our third project, with a contract ID number 26LD0152, with a contract name, construction of multipurpose building, Gymnasium, Barangay Bunot, Kiblawan, Davao del Sur, with an appropriation amount of 8 million pesos, an ABC amount of 7,120,000 pesos, with a contract duration of 105 calendar days, funded under 2026 GA or RA 12314. So here's the typical perspective of our gymnasium. For the side, we located at Barangay Bunot in Kiblawan. So here's our geotag photo as well. The LGU provided a certificate of title for the lot ownership. Here's the site development plan, which we located right along or beside the existing DPWH building. For the scope of works, our project would include 28 by 15 meter play court with attached stage, with 3-tier bleachers around the play court, also with a canopy, then a suspended board and ring. So here's the critical elevations, the front and the rear, showing also the louver details and the bleacher with a canopy detail as well. Here's our right side and the left side elevation. So the structure will be composed of metal truss structure or anglo bars with a grade 60 and a grade 40 reinforced steel bars for the reinforced concrete, the pedestals, and then 2 mm thick by 50 by 150 mm rectangular tube for the purlins. So here's the sample structural details. So for the summary of quantities, here's the following general requirements, permits and clearances. Under earthwork, we have the structure excavation and embankment, reinforced concrete, such as a 3,000 to 4,000 psi structural concrete and grade 40 and grade 60 reinforcing steel bars. Under finishing and other civil works, we have the masonry works, finishing works, such as the reflective insulation and plaster finish, painting works, roof framing and roofing works, plumbing works, which includes the storm drainage and asphalt and catch basins, and then electrical works. We will pause this slide for the uploaded version of the broadcast. And lastly, for the building projects, we have for contract ID number 26LD0164 with the contract name construction of multipurpose building Barangay Hall, Barangay Santo Nino, Kiblawan, Davao del Sur, with an appropriation amount of 5 million pesos, an ABC amount of 4,950,000 pesos, with a contract duration of 90 calendar days, and funded under 2026 GA or RA 12314. So here's the vicinity map, which our project will be located at the Barangay site in Santo Nino, Barangay Santo Nino and Kiblawan. There's a geotag photo showing dilapidated projects. For the proof of ownership, the LG provided deed of donation and original certificate of title. Here's the site development plan, which will be located right beside an old or dilapidated building. Next, so here's the typical perspective of our one-story barangay hall. Our barangay hall has a total floor area of 120 square meters with dimensions of 15 meters by 8 meters. Spaces provided are the following: a main entrance or public space, a lobby, staff clerical office, toilet room or PW toilet room, pantry, session hall, head office, and service entrance. The building would mainly compose of reinforced concrete columns and beams and steel trusses. Here's a sample roof truss detail for our barangay hall, which will mainly compose of angle bars. For summary of quantities, again, for general requirements, we have the permits and clearances. Under earthwork, we have removal of tree and removal of structure or obstruction, embankment. Then reinforced concrete, we have 3,000 psi and 4,000 psi structural concrete, and grade 40 and grade 60 reinforcing steel bars. Under finishing and other civil works, we have the thermal works, wood preservative, masonry works, fabricated materials such as the doors and the windows, finishing works such as the tile works, ceiling, painting works, roof framing and roofing works, plumbing, which includes the catch basin, sewer line works, cold water lines, storm drainage and downspouts, septic vault and plumbing fixtures, electrical works. Then under mechanical works, we have the air conditioning system and the fire extinguishers.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to discuss the two projects of public water supply system. First, contract ID 26LD0205, construction of public water supply system, Barangay Dalomay, Magsaysay, Davao del Sur. EBC amount of 4,950,000 pesos. And a contract duration of 150 calendar days. Source of fund, 2026 General Appropriation Act. Next. This is the vicinity map where the drilling site is located at the Barangay Dalomay, Magsaysay, Davao del Sur. Next. Scope works composed of pump house, pilot hole drilling, ECDC solar submersible pump, solar PV array support, elevated still water tank, pipelines, communal faucets, glove and air release valves. Next. This is the result of georesistivity profile survey or water scanning at the area. Next. Is the typical details for pile hole drilling using an equipment of deep well drilling rig that can penetrate 250 mm diameter at 120 meters. The solar pump specifications, ECDC submersible multi-stage solar pump with ECDC auto switching controller that can have a maximum flow of 14 cubic per hour at a maximum heat of 150 meters. Next. This pumping test data sheets and well log record sheets that these two sheets will be submitted to DPWH for water permit purposes. Next. This is a typical detail for elevated still water tank using structural concrete for pedestals, steel for the E53A for the steel pipes, and mild steel for the water tank. Next. This is a footprint, typical footprint of pump house, 2 by 2.5 meters, having a 5 square meters. Next. Then the typical footprint for solar PV for panel support that can carry 6 solar panels. Next. This is a pressure leakage testing of pipelines that uses pressure pump, manifolds. This is during actual testing. Next. This is summary quantities, other general requirements like permit and clearances, building permit, excavation permit, water permit, earthworks, reinforced concrete, finishing and other civil works, electrical, mechanical works, water supply like drilling, pipeline trains, fill and backfill. Next. For the contract ID 26LD0206, construction of public water supply system, Barangay Kiblawan, Davao del Sur, an EBC amount of 4,950,000 pesos, na contract duration of 150 calendar days, source of fund FY 2026 GAA, General Appropriation Act. Next. The site is located inside of the Monito D. Llanos Senior National High School, Barangay Kiblawan, Davao del Sur. Next. This is the general plan layout. The scope works are composed of pump house, pilot hole drilling, ECDC, solar submersible pump, solar PBR support, elevated still water tank, pipelines, molar faucets, blow-off and release valves. This is the result of georesistivity or water scanning at the area. Next. Typical pilot hole drilling uses an equipment used as deep well drilling rig that can penetrate 250 mm diameter at 120 meters deep. Which solar pump specifications, ECDC submersible waters, a multi-stage solar pump with ECDC auto switching controller that can have a maximum flow of 14 cubic per hour and a maximum heat pressure of 100 meters heat. Next is the two record sheets that will support for water permit will be submitted to NWRB. Next. These are typical details for elevated still water tank having a 10,000 liters capacity. Next. A typical footprint of pump house, 2 meters by 2.5. Next. This typical details for solar PV array support having it can carry 6 solar panels for 600 watts each panels. Next. pressure leakage methods for testing of pipelines using pressure pumps, manifolds. Next. Summary of quantities for other general requirements: building permits, excavation permit, water permit for NWRB, from NWRB rather. Earthwork, reinforced concrete work, finishing and other civil works, electrical works, mechanical works, water supply works, excavation structures like pipe trench excavations. That's all. That's it.
Let's proceed to our agenda number 1B, the requirement of bidding documents, including instruction to bidders, general condition of contract, special condition of contract, specifications, drawings, bill of quantities, and forms. And agenda number 1C, documents to be submitted by the bidders. And for agenda number 1D, the criteria and procedure for eligibility check, preliminary examination of bids, detailed evaluation of bids, post-qualification and award. These three requirements to be discussed by Engineer Migulos.
Documents comprising the bid. The first bid envelope shall contain the following technical documents, including the eligibility documents. First, valid PhilJEP's registration certificate, platinum membership, all pages, in accordance with Section 20 of the IRR of RA 12009. QR code must be clear and readable. Failure of the bidder to update its PhilJEP certificate of registration with the current and updated supporting documents shall result in the automatic suspension of the bidder's certificate. Second, special PCAB license and registration in case of joint venture. Third, statement of all ongoing government and private contracts, including contracts awarded but not yet started, if any, whether similar or not similar in nature and complexity to the contract to be bid. Failure by the bidder to disclose all ongoing government and private contracts leads to automatic disqualification and potential blacklisting for misrepresentation. Use the prescribed template provided in the bidding documents. Attachments: 1. Copy of notice of award and/or contract. 2. Copy of notice to proceed issued by the project owner. And 3. Copy of certificate of accomplishment signed by the project owner or authorized representative. In case of no ongoing contract, the bidder shall submit this duly signed form and indicate no ongoing contracts under the column number 1. Dual purpose of the statement all ongoing contracts. It is relevant in relation to the computation of the NFCC formula. The value of all outstanding or uncompleted portions of ongoing contracts will be deducted from the product of the current assets minus liabilities multiplied by 15. Hence, for the procuring entity to determine the correct computation of the NFCC, the bidder shall declare all of its ongoing government and private contracts, including contracts awarded but not yet started, if any, whether similar or not similar in nature and complexity to the contract to be bid. The statement of all ongoing government and private contracts still has its significance in relation to the verification on the bidder's performance in its ongoing contracts during post-qualification process. Fourth, statement of single largest completed contract, or SLCC, similar to the contract to be bid, in accordance with instructions to bidders, clause 5.5. SLCC must be equivalent at least 50% of the ABC. Use the prescribed template provided in the bidding documents. Attachments: 1. Copy of contract. 2. Copy of certificate of completion. And 3. Copy of certificate of final acceptance issued by the project owner other than the contractor, or a final rating of at least satisfactory in the constructor's performance evaluation system. In case of contracts with the private sector, an equivalent document shall be submitted. If net financial contracting capacity, or NFCC computation, in accordance with instructions to bidders, clause 5.6. Computation as follows: current assets minus current liabilities multiplied by 15 minus the value of all outstanding or uncompleted portions of the projects under ongoing contracts, including awarded contracts yet to be started, coinciding with the contract to be bid. NFCC must be at least equal to the ABC. Use the prescribed template provided in the bidding documents. Attachments. 1. Copy of latest audited financial statement, or AFS, and 2. Copy of proof of receipt for AFS submitted to the BIR. Confirmation receipt for online submission, or BIR receipt stamp for manual submission. 6th, joint venture agreement, if applicable. Joint ventures may participate, provided that the primary purpose of each member must be similar or related to the requirements of the project. Each member of the joint venture shall jointly and severally liable to the procuring entity in case of breach or failure to comply with the requirements of the project. 7th, bid security in the prescribed form and amount in accordance with instructions to bidders, clause 16, and validity period under clause 15. The bid security shall be in the form of a bid securing declaration, or any of the following: the amount of not less than 2% of the ABC if bid security is in cash, the amount of not less than 5% of the ABC if bid security is in surety bond. Bids and bid security shall be valid for 120 calendar days from bid opening. 8th, project requirements, which shall include the following: 1. Organizational chart for the contract. Use the prescribed template provided in the bidding documents. 2. List of contractors' key personnel to be assigned to the contract with their qualification data. These personnel must meet the required minimum years of experience set in the bid data sheet. Use the prescribed template provided in the bidding documents. Attachments: letter of nominee, notarized certificate of employment, biodata, copy of PRC ID, PTR, TIN, and certificate of accreditation and/or training. Key personnel, particularly the project manager, project engineer, and materials engineer, must be different persons. Accredited safety officer, required upon issuance of notice of award, subject to Department Order Number 35, Series of 2021. First aider with certificate of training issued by the Red Cross in compliance to Department of Labor and Employment requirements for the approval of construction safety and health program, required upon issuance of notice of award, subject to Department Order Number 35, Series of 2021. Compliance to Dole Department Order Number 252, Series of 2025. Revised implementing rules and regulations of Republic Act Number 11058, entitled An Act Strengthening Compliance with Occupational Safety and Health Standards and Providing Penalties for Violations thereof. 3. List of contractors' major construction and laboratory equipment units to be assigned to the contract, supported by certifications of availability, which must meet the minimum requirements for the contract set in the bid data sheet. Use the prescribed template provided in the bidding documents. Attachments: proof of ownership, ORCR, and affidavit of ownership. Lease contract and affidavit of commitment, if applicable. Purchase agreement, if applicable. Certification of availability of equipment issued by owner, lessor, or vendor. And certification of minimum laboratory equipment duly certified by any DPWH office. 4. Notarized omnibus sworn statement in accordance with Section 54.3 of the IRR of RA 12009, supported by duly notarized special power of attorney, board, partnership resolution, or secretary's certificate, whichever is applicable. 5. Latest General Information Sheet, or GIS, reflecting the beneficial ownership information duly received by the Securities and Exchange Commission for corporations. 6. ISO 9001-2015 certification, or its latest version, as applicable, in compliance with Department Order Number 110, Series of 2024. The second bid envelope, or the financial component, shall contain the following. 1. bid form. 2. Bid prices in the bill of quantities. 3. Detailed estimates including a summary sheet indicating the unit prices of construction materials, labor rates, and equipment rentals used in coming up with the bid. And 4. Cash flow by quarter. Use the prescribed template provided in the bidding documents. Format and signing of bids. Bidders shall submit their bids through their duly authorized representative using the appropriate forms provided in Section 9, Philippine bidding documents related forms on or before the deadline specified in the ITB Clause 19 in 2 separate sealed bid envelopes, which shall be submitted simultaneously, whether through manual or online electronic submission. The first envelope shall contain the technical component of the bid, including eligibility requirements under ITB Clause 12, and the second envelope shall contain the financial component of the bid. Forms as mentioned in ITB Clause 17.1 must be completed without any alterations to their format. No substitute form shall be accepted. Each and every page of the bid form, including the bill of quantities, under Section 9 hereof, shall be signed by the duly authorized representative of the bidder. Failure to do so shall be a ground for the rejection of the bid. Any insertions, erasures, or overwriting shall be valid only if they are signed or initialed by the duly authorized representative of the bidder. Sealing and marking of bids. Bidders shall enclose their technical documents described in ITB Clause 12 in one sealed envelope marked as technical component, and the financial component in another sealed envelope marked as financial component, sealing them all in an outer envelope marked as bid. Bid shall be typed or written in ink and shall be signed by the bidder or its duly authorized representative. All envelopes shall contain the name of the contract to be bid in capital letters. Bear the name and address of the bidder in capital letters. Be addressed to the procuring entity's bids and awards committee in accordance with ITB Clause 18.1. Bear the specific identification of this bidding process indicated in the ITB Clause 1.1. And bear a warning, do not open before the date and time for the opening of bids in accordance with ITB Clause 19. For manually submitted bid envelopes that are not properly sealed and marked, as required in the bidding documents, the same shall be accepted, provided that the bidder or its duly authorized representative shall acknowledge such condition of the bid as submitted. On the other hand, unsealed or unmarked bid envelopes, or bids that cannot be opened or corrupted in case of online submission, shall be rejected. The Bids and Awards Committee shall assume no responsibility for misplaced or lost contents of the improperly sealed or marked bid, or for its premature opening. Bid documents must be prepared on A4 size paper and properly labeled with ear tag, matching those on the checklist. All supporting documents, photocopied from the original, shall be legibly readable and will be authenticated as needed during the post-qualification process. Illustration for the sealing and marking of bids. The bidder shall submit one original and one copy one of the technical and financial components of its bid. Submission and receipt of bids. Bid submission may be done manually or electronically. However, bidders should only select one mode of submission, either manual or electronic online. For bids to be submitted manually, bids must be duly received by the Bids and Awards Committee Secretariat on or before the scheduled date set in the bidding documents. For bids to be submitted electronically online, bidders should observe the guidelines for the electronic submission and receipt of bids as per Department Order Number 87, Series of 2020. Bids submitted after the deadline shall not be accepted. Email address for the electronic bid submission, electronicbids_Davao del Sur at dpwh.gov.ph. Bidder's responsibilities. The bidder, by the act of submitting its bid, shall be deemed to have inspected the site, determined the general characteristics of the contract works and the conditions for this project, and examine all instructions, forms, terms, and project requirements in the bidding documents. Further, the bidder shall bear all costs associated with the preparation and submission of its bid. The procuring entity shall in no case be responsible or liable for those costs, regardless of the conduct or outcome of the bidding process. Furthermore, the bidder should be aware that the procuring entity will accept bids only from those that have paid the applicable fee for the bidding documents at the office indicated in the invitation to bid. Clarifications and amendment of bidding documents. Prospective bidders may request for clarifications on and/or interpretation of any part of the bidding documents. Such request must be in writing and submitted to the Bids and Awards Committee of the procuring entity at least 10 calendar days before the deadline set for the submission and receipt of bids. Supplemental bid bulletins may also be issued upon the procuring entity's initiative for purposes of clarifying or modifying any provision of the bidding documents not later than 7 calendar days before the deadline for the submission and receipt of bids. It shall be the responsibility of all prospective bidders, including those who have properly secured the bidding documents, to inquire and secure supplemental bid bulletins that may be issued by the Bids and Awards Committee. Eligibility criteria, evaluation. Eligibility criteria shall be in accordance with Section 52.4.2 of the IRR of RA 12009. Eligibility evaluation for the procurement of locally funded civil works contracts shall be conducted electronically using the Civil Works Registry, pursuant to Department Order Number 64, Series of 2012. Contractors who wish to participate in the bidding are encouraged to enroll in the DPWH Civil Works Application, or CWA, at the Procurement Service, 5th floor DPWH Building, Bonifacio Drive, Port Area, Manila. While those already enrolled shall keep their records current and updated. Preliminary examination of bids. The Bids and Awards Committee shall open the bids in public immediately after the deadline for submission and receipt of bids, as specified in the bid data sheet. In case the bids cannot be opened as scheduled due to justifiable reasons, the Bids and Awards Committee shall take custody of the submitted bids and reschedule the opening of bids on the next working day, or at the soonest possible time, through the issuance of notice of postponement to be posted on the PhilJeps and DPWH websites. The Bids and Awards Committee shall open the technical and financial proposals on the same day. The bidders or their duly authorized representatives may attend the opening of bids. Detailed evaluation and comparison of bids. The procuring entity's evaluation of bids shall be based on the bid price quoted in the bid form, which includes the bill of quantities. The procuring entity will undertake the detailed evaluation and comparison of the bids which have passed the opening and preliminary examination of bids to determine the lowest calculated bid, or LCB. The Bids and Awards Committee shall immediately conduct a detailed evaluation of all bids using non-discretionary criteria considering the following. A. Completeness of the bid. Bids not addressing or providing all of the required items in the bid data sheet shall be considered non-responsive and thus automatically disqualified. B. Arithmetical corrections. The BAC shall consider computational errors and omissions to enable proper comparison of all eligible bids. Any adjustment shall be calculated in monetary terms to determine the calculated prices. The BAC shall evaluate all bids on an equal footing to ensure fair and competitive bid comparison. For this purpose, all bidders shall be required to include in their bids the cost of all taxes, such as, but not limited to, value-added tax, income tax, local taxes, and other fiscal levies and duties. Such bids, including said taxes, shall be the basis for the bid evaluation and comparison. Post-qualification. The BAC shall determine to its satisfaction whether the bidder that is evaluated as having submitted the lowest calculated bid complies with and is responsive to all the requirements and conditions specified in ITB Clause 5 and 12. The determination shall be based upon an examination of the documentary evidence of the bidder's qualifications submitted pursuant to ITB Clause 12, as well as other information as the procuring entity deems necessary and appropriate, using a non-discretionary pass or fail criterion, which shall be completed within a period of 12 calendar days. If the BAC determines that the bidder with the LCB passes all the criteria for post-qualification, it shall declare the said bid as lowest calculated responsive bid and recommend to the head of the procuring entity the award of contract to the said bidder at its submitted bid price or its calculated bid price, whichever is lower. Reservation clause. Notwithstanding the eligibility or post-qualification of a bidder, and without incurring any liability, the head of the procuring entity at any stage of the procurement reserves the right to review its qualifications, reject any and all bids, declare a failure of bidding, or not award the contract in the following situations. A. If it has reasonable grounds to believe that a misrepresentation has been made by the said bidder. Or B. if it has reasonable grounds to believe that there has been a change in the bidder's capability to undertake the project from the time it submitted its eligibility requirements, should such review uncover any misrepresentation made in the eligibility and bidding requirements, statements or documents, or any changes in the situation of the bidder which will adversely affect its capability to undertake the project so that it no longer meets the prescribed eligibility or bid evaluation criteria, the procuring entity shall consider the said bidder as ineligible and disqualify it from participating further in the bidding process or being awarded the contract. Award of contract. The head of the procuring entity shall award the contract to the bidder whose bid has been determined to be the lowest calculated responsive bid, or LCRB. The procuring entity shall notify the winning bidder in writing that its bid has been accepted through a notice of award duly received by the bidder or its representative personally. End of presentation. Thank you.
So, any questions or comments from the interested bidders and or representatives of procuring entity?
I would also acknowledge the presence of Daycare Fabulous Engineer sa IMAC Builders and Edgardo Sara, DO2, DepEd Kiblawan.
So, any questions? Okay. So, other matters. It is informed to the interested bidders that cancellation of order payment is not allowed without justification and valid reason, and also all bidders sending their representative must acquire a special power of attorney and should be specific to the project they wanted to participate. So, for agenda number 4, for the summary of proceedings, including supplemental or bid bulletins, to be discussed by Engineer Miguelos.
As of this date, no issued supplemental bulletin.
So if none, the pre-bid conference adjourned at exactly 10:48.